Friday night marked the official opening of the 2010 Paralympic Winter Games in Vancouver. This marks the first time that Canada has hosted the Paralympics. Unlike the Olympic Games, where the country of Greece leads the parade of nations, the Paralympics go in alphabetical order, with the host nation entering last. The parade involved 1,500 athletes from 44 nations, including the youngest athlete at the Games, a 15-year-old cross-country skier from Sweden, and the oldest, a 76-year-old wheelchair curler from Japan. The host nation of Canada entered the stadium last with a delegation of 57 athletes, far and away the biggest team at the Games. 5,000 performers ranging in age from 4 to 92 years old put on a uniquely Canadian show for the over 50,000 spectators in BC Place. Organizers said that their goal was in part to tell the history of the Paralympics, which originated as a sporting competition for disabled war veterans in London in 1948. The first Winter Paralympic Games were held in 1976 in Sweden. The artistic portion of the evening showcased dancers, some of Canada's most talented musicians, and astounding athletics. Paralympic protocol followed the artistic portion of the evening with the entrance of the Paralympic flag, along with the Chief Executive Officer of Vancouver 2010, John Furlong, and the President of the International Paralympic Committee, Sir Philip Craven, making their official speeches. Hervé Lourdes took the Paralympic oath on behalf of all athletes. Distinguished Canadian Paralympian Rick Hansen addressed the crowd. Then it was time for the flame to enter the stadium. Over 600 torchbearers carried the flame over its 10-day journey across the country, but it was the parents of Terry Fox that received the honor of carrying the torch on its final leg into BC Place. Both Marnie Abbott-Peter and Daniel Wesley carried the torch inside the stadium. But it was 15-year-old future Paralympian Zach Beaumont that lit the cauldron. Six and a half years after being awarded the Games, the city of Vancouver put on an inspiring, moving, and unforgettable opening ceremony. The Sledge hockey tournament opened up at Thunderbird Arena with medal favorite Canada going up against sixth seed Italy in front of a crowd of 6,000. The Canadians came out hard on the puck and controlled the play throughout the game. Sledge hockey is a very physical sport, and these two nations collided hard. Mark Dorian coming in with a good chance for Canada, but that goes off the crossbar. Dorian opened the scoring for Canada when his pass across the crease deflected off the Italian defender. The puck slid past goaltender Santiano Stilitano into the net. Canada up by 1. The Italians managing only one shot in the first period on Canadian goaltender Paul Rosen. The second period was quiet, neither team with a goal. Greg Westlake scored twice in the third period to break open a close game. His first was a wrist shot over Stilitano's glove, and the puck caught the top far corner under the crossbar and flew out of the net. The play was reviewed and ruled a goal. Canada up by 2. Westlake earning his second of the game here, sliding the puck past Italian netminder, making it 3-0. Jean Labonte rounded out the scoring with a wrist shot past Stellitano to give the Canadians a 4-0 victory over Italy. The outcome was the best historically for the Italians against the Canadians. Canada beat Italy 12-0 in Torino. Group B action getting underway in sledge hockey with Norway facing off against Sweden. These two teams very physical. The Swedish program is in a rebuilding stage, having 6 players on the 15-man roster who were not in Torino. The second-seeded Norwegian team is led by Rolf Einar Petersen, who is considered to be the top ice sledge hockey player on the planet. But it's Sweden that capitalizes first. Marcus Holm putting the yellow team on the board with this nifty move. Sliding the puck behind the Norwegian netminder, Roger Johansson, who has a sparkling 92.98 save percentage. Norway here with a great shot. Captain Tommy Rovelstad rifling one here, but it goes off the post. Norway outshot Sweden 24-8, not able to capitalize on many of its chances. Swedish netminder Ulf Nilsson was on his game this day. A great stretch save there. And a very close call here, but the Swedes managed to keep the puck out of the net. Another important save here from Nilsson to keep the Norwegians off the board. And Roger Johansson here reciprocates for Norway. Quite a collision here. And an ensuing scuffle. Final minutes of the third period. And Norwegian captain Tommy Rovelstad finds the twine with this wrist shot. And that goal will send this game to a shootout. Both of these teams trying to get the final goal, but we will be going to a shootout. Sweden is up first with Per Kasperi. And he fires one past Johansson, and the Swedes are happy with that. Rolf Einar Petersen is up next for Norway, and he knocks one off the post to keep things tied. Nicholas Ingvarsson gaining speed here. And he goes top shelf to keep Sweden alive. Norway's Helgen Bjornstad making it look easy as he feathers this one past Nilsson. And the Swedish goaltender wants that one back. Marcus Holm, who scored the only goal in regulation for Sweden. Looking for this one here. He hits the crossbar, and that's no goal. Sweden will have to hope that Norway misses one of its shots as well. The Norwegian captain, Tommy Rovelstad, is the final shooter. And watch this sweet move he has there under his sledge. He scores, winning the game for Norway. The University of British Columbia's Thunderbird Arena is the venue for the ice sledge hockey tournament at these Paralympic Games. A Group A matchup on day 2 between the United States and Korea, both nations well supported in the crowd. The United States is the current world champion and for the first time are coming into the Paralympics ranked #1 in the world. The U.S. overhauled its program after claiming bronze in Torino. The team is a mix of youth and experience. Just a couple of minutes into the game, Joe Howard and Han-Min Soo crash into each other in a head-to-head collision. Both were helped off the ice by trainers and would be okay. A very physical game between these two nations, although Korea is not expected to be a major factor in this tournament. One advantage they'll have is that all 11 of the 15 players play together on a club team. So familiarity should serve them well. The Americans opened the scoring at 3:45 of the first period on a smart play by Taylor Chase, who pounced on a loose puck high in the slot and unleashed a wrist shot that Korean netminder Hyuk Jun Choi got his blocker on. But the puck went end to end in the air, slipped over the goal line to give the U.S. a lead they would never relinquish. Later in the first, Taylor Lipsett slides one in. The referee sends it upstairs for video review, though. You can see here that he hits it in with his glove, so after further review, it was determined that it was no goal. Korea here with a chance. American goaltender Steve Cash with the easy save. The Korean defenseman with a skilled move here, preventing the Americans from having an empty net shot. The Americans on the attack again, but hit the post. A lucky break for Korea. This was a very physical matchup, both of these teams coming out hard. Alexis Salmone doubled the margin at 4:45 of the second on a shot that Choi did get a piece of. This time the puck went off his blocker and hit the crossbar on its way into the net. Ten minutes later, Salmone got his second point of the game with an assist on a goal by Taylor Lipsett, whose wrist shot rolled across the goal line to make it 3-0. Lipsett made it 4-0 halfway through the third on a goal from close in, the puck barely crossing the goal line. Taylor Chase netted his second of the game with this left-handed shot. He's in all alone, beating Choi to take the Americans up by 5. The Koreans gave a good showing against the bigger, more skilled players from the USA, and they did not appear to be intimidated by the aggressive style of play that helps define North American ice sledge hockey. The Americans outshot the Koreans 21-5 and beat Korea 5-0.
Day 2 of the men's biathlon, 2.4-kilometer pursuit sitting at Whistler Paralympic Park. Biathlon combines cross-country skiing and rifle shooting, similar to the Olympic biathlon competition. This is 29-year-old Andy Soul of the United States. Soul, who lost his legs when an explosive went off near him as he was serving in the U.S. military. With a nice run, he would finish 1 minute and 2 seconds behind the leader. 32-year-old Yuri Kostyuk of the Ukraine did very well in the shooting part, did not miss any of the targets. Unlike their Olympic counterparts, the athletes do not ski with their guns. Instead, they are handed their guns when they get to the shooting range. Kostyuk finished 47 seconds behind the leader. And the leader was Irek Zaripov of Russia. Zaripov turns 27 later this month, and he had a good run and would win the gold medal. The biathlon, first introduced in the 1988 Paralympic Winter Games in Innsbruck, Austria, and it would be Zaripov earning the gold in the men's 2.4 kilometer pursuit sitting. Yuri Kostyuk of the Ukraine took the silver. Andy Sohl of the United States winning the bronze. Day two in the women's biathlon, 2.4 kilometer pursuit sitting at Whistler Paralympic Park. Biathlon combines cross-country skiing and rifle shooting, similar to the Olympic biathlon competition. In the biathlon, athletes are categorized as standing, sitting, or visually impaired and compete against athletes with similar disabilities. This is 28-year-old Ludmila Pavlenko of the Ukraine. Sit skiers usually have no use of their legs and use a special-made sit ski, a specially built chair attached to a pair of skis. Pavlenko would finish 25 seconds behind the leader. 20-year-old Maria Ivoleva of the Russian Federation had a good run. Ivoleva would finish in second place, 17 seconds behind the leader. And 26-year-old Olena Urfkovska of the Ukraine had the best run of the day. Not only was she strong in the cross country, but she was perfect in her target shooting. Sit skiers, unlike their Olympic counterparts, they do not ski with their guns. Instead, they are handed their guns when they get to the shooting range. Also, all Paralympians shoot in a prone position. Urkovska perfect with her shooting, and she would win the gold medal by 17 seconds over her counterparts. So Urkovska with the gold, Ivoleva with the silver, Pavlenko with the bronze. Day two of the men's biathlon, 3 kilometer pursuit standing at Whistler Paralympic Park. Biathlon combines cross-country skiing and rifle shooting, similar to the Olympic biathlon competition. Wearing bib number 15, 21-year-old Grigory Vovchinsky of the Ukraine. Very strong in the cross country. And Vovchinsky would finish 26 seconds behind the leader. 26-year-old Nils Erik Ulset of Norway, wearing bib number 13, very strong in the shooting category. In the biathlon, unlike their Olympic counterparts, the Paralympic athletes do not ski with their guns. Instead, they are handed their guns when they get to the shooting range. Ulset did very well in the shooting, and he finished 19 seconds behind the leader. Wearing bib number 16 is 26-year-old Kirill Mikhailov of Russia. Mikhailov was very strong in the cross country. And he would win the race by 19 seconds over his counterparts. So in his first Paralympics, Mikhailov wins the gold, Ulsit takes the silver, and Vovchinsky of Ukraine takes the bronze. Day two of the women's biathlon, 3-kilometer pursuit standing at Whistler Paralympic Park. The biathlon combines cross-country skiing and rifle shooting. Alina Gorbunova of Russia, participating in her second Paralympics, goes through the cross-country and the shooting, and she would finish 2 minutes behind the leader. Also participating in her second Paralympics, Maria Loitnoja of Finland. Loitnoja, 26 years old, was perfect in her shooting and also was very strong in the cross-country. Unlike the able-bodied skiers in the Olympics, the Paralympic skiers do not ski with their guns. Instead, they are given their guns at the shooting range. Loitnoja finished 1 minute and 35 seconds behind the leader. 23-year-old Russian Anna Burmistrova would end up being the winner, carrying the Russian flag across the finish line. Burmistrova would win this easily, more than 1.5 minutes over her competitors. So Burmistrova, in her second Paralympics, picks up the gold medal in the women's 3-kilometer pursuit standing. Loitnoja gets the silver. Gorbunova of Russia takes the bronze. Day two of the men's biathlon, 3-kilometer pursuit, visually impaired at Whistler Paralympic Park. Visually impaired skiers use the same equipment as able-bodied skiers, but ski with a guide. Visually impaired skiers also use an acoustic system for shooting that uses tones as the rifle is aimed towards the bullseye. You're looking at Wilhelm Brehm of Germany. He was the leader after qualifying, but he would take a nasty spill during the cross country. That would cause him to lose the lead, and he would end up in 4th place when all was said and done. 30-year-old Vasily Shapsiobo of Belarus, in his first Paralympics, was very strong in the cross country. He would finish 21 seconds behind the leader. The biathlon combining cross-country skiing and rifle shooting. 27-year-old Nikolay Pulikin of Russia, wearing bib number 4 in his first Paralympics, was among the leaders throughout the race, and he would finish in 2nd place, 14.9 seconds behind the leader. Participating in his 3rd Paralympics, Vitaly Lukyanenko of Ukraine was very strong. He started 1 minute and 12 seconds behind the leader, Wilhelm Brehm of Germany, after qualifying, but did very well in his shooting, was among the leaders, and would pull away at the end. So Lukyanenko picking up the gold medal in the men's 3-kilometer pursuit final, visually impaired. Winning by 14 seconds over his counterparts. He picks up the gold. Pulikin gets the silver. Shapsioba gets the bronze. Day 2 of the women's biathlon, 3-kilometer pursuit visually impaired at Whistler Paralympic Park. Biathlon combines cross-country skiing and rifle shooting, similar to the Olympic biathlon competition. Visually impaired skiers use the same equipment as able-bodied skiers, but ski with a personal guide. Visually impaired skiers also use an acoustic system for shooting that uses tones as the rifle is aimed towards the bullseye. Miki Lysova of Russia, only 17 years old, turns 18 later this month with a good run. She would finish in third place, 49 seconds behind the leader. Lubov Veseleva, 42 years old, from Russia, did very well in the cross-country skiing part of the race, but she struggled hitting the targets in the shooting, and that would end up costing her the gold. She would end the race 31 seconds behind the leader. 28-year-old Verena Bentele of Germany, competing in her 4th Paralympics. Her brother, also visually impaired, is also a Paralympian. Bentele was very strong in the cross-country part of the race, but she struggled with her shooting. And in the second round of shooting, she missed twice and had to complete 2 penalty laps. However, her contenders also missed their targets, so Bentele was able to hang on to the lead and eventually race home with the gold. So Verena Bentele of Germany picks up the gold medal in the women's 3-kilometer pursuit visually impaired. Yasileva of Russia and Lysova of Russia, the silver and bronze.
Things getting underway on day 2 at Whistler Creekside for the Alpine skiing events. On the schedule, the men's and women's downhill. After having official training canceled earlier in the week due to poor visibility, athletes were able to get on the course early in the day for some practice runs. The mood quite jovial on the mountain as everyone is very excited to get started. In the men's standing category, Australia's Marty Mayberry could very well find his way onto the podium. Mayberry was the skier who kept favourite Germany's Gerd Schoenfelder from clinching both World Cup finals this year, winning the last one by just 0.13 of a second. He's currently ranked 12th in the world. Austria and the United States are tied for first among all nations with 219 alpine skiing medals apiece. There are 193 Paralympic athletes competing in the alpine events at Whistler, the most among all sports contested at the Paralympic Games. Athletes with locomotive disabilities can either use a prosthesis or stabilizers in place of ski poles. Outriggers are adaptive poles with skis on the end to assist with balance. There are 30 medal events in each of the 3 Paralympic categories: standing, sitting, and visually impaired. They'll result in 90 alpine skiing medals being awarded during these games. The venue at Whistler Creekside holds 5,000 spectators. The weather deciding again not to cooperate with fog and snow rolling in over Whistler Creekside. The competition had to be postponed due to limited visibility and poor conditions. The host nation of Canada is expected to do well in these games, in part due to their familiarity with the mountain. Canada recorded 9 first-place finishes when Whistler Creekside hosted an international Paralympic World Cup event in March of 2009. Their experience on these slopes could help Canada produce a record medal count for its skiers here in Vancouver. The Super G course is just over 1,500 meters long, and the giant slalom is just over 1,300. The slalom course is considerably shorter than that, at 610 meters, but it's the downhill skiers that will have to navigate more than 2,100 meters of Whistler's world-renowned slopes. Event organizers will further evaluate the conditions in the coming days and decide when the downhill event will continue.
Day 2 and wheelchair curling at the Paralympic Curling Center. Round-robin games. The United States taking on Korea. The U.S. led by skip Augusto Perez. And Perez, who has survived 3 bouts with cancer, with the takeout here in the second end. Perez has led the U.S. to a bronze medal at the 2008 World Championships. His team placed 4th at last year's World Championship. But here, Korean skip Hak-sun Kim trying to take out Perez's stone. But he will miss, so the Americans steal a point to take a 2-0 lead. Kim makes up for that miss in the next end, laying 2. Kim with the nice draw here around 4 American stones. He puts his stone into the house. Korea collects 3 to take a 3-2 lead after 4. To the 5th end now. And the U.S. back on top, but not for long. Korea laying 2. And Kim with another nice draw into the house. Another 3 for Korea. And the Koreans take a 6-4 lead. But it would be all United States after that. In the 7th, Kim with the hammer. But not enough weight on the shot. He comes up way short. And in the 7th, the Americans would steal 2 points. And the U.S. back on top 8-6, much to the dismay of Kim. In the 8th and final end, Kim needing to take out a pair of American stones, but he can only take out 1. So the Americans get the point, and they take the win 9-6. So the United States wins its first round-robin game. Korea takes the loss. Day 2 and wheelchair curling at the Paralympic Curling Center. Round-robin action. Defending Paralympic gold medalist Canada taking on Great Britain. Canada led by 59-year-old skip Jim Armstrong of Vancouver, who returns to the same ice where he won the 2009 World Championship for Canada. Great Britain finishing 5th in the same World Championships. Great Britain laying 1 in the first end. Armstrong with the hammer tries the takeout, but he misses. The Brits steal a point to take a 1-0 lead. second end, Canada laying one now, and with the hammer. Armstrong, who's been curling since 1958 and has been a world-class curler, started using a wheelchair 3 years ago because of knee and back injuries. And here, he plays the draw and gets the second point. Canada takes the lead 2-1. Up 3-1 in the fourth end. Canada laying two. And Armstrong once again tries to play the draw into the house. And he gets it. Canada would collect 3 points in that end and take a commanding 6-1 lead. Canada would get two more in the fifth. The Canadians would lead 8-1. Great Britain, though, trying to get back in the match. Eileen Nielsen of Great Britain tries the nice draw here into the house. And the Brits get the point. But this was all Canada in the eighth and final end. Great Britain trying for more. But the draw has too much weight. The stone goes out of the house, so Canada wins the match 9-2 as the Brits have to concede. Canada wins its first game in round-robin play. Great Britain suffers the loss. Day two in wheelchair curling at the Paralympic Curling Center, round-robin action. Sweden against Switzerland. The Swedes won bronze at the last Paralympic Winter Games. Switzerland leading 1-0 after one. Swiss skip Manfred Bollinger with the draw into the house here in the second end. And Switzerland would go up 2-0. To the third, Sweden laying two and with the hammer. Prime opportunity for Sweden to get a third point. Swedish skip Jali Ljungnell. Unfortunately, not enough weight on his throw. So instead of 3 points, Sweden gets two, and the game is tied at 2. To the fifth now. Ljungnell and Sweden trailing by a point. Switzerland laying one. And Ljungnell will tap out the Swiss stone. While his stone remains in the house, 3 points for the Swedes, and Sweden leads 5-3. To the sixth, Switzerland laying two, with a chance to add a third point as they have the hammer. Bollinger with the shot. But a little too much weight. His stone will go through the house. A disappointed Bollinger settles for 2 points, and the game is tied at 5. Switzerland, though, would go on to win the game by a score of 7-6. So Switzerland wins its first round-robin game, while Sweden suffers the loss. Day two in wheelchair curling at the Paralympic Curling Center, round-robin action. Germany taking on Norway. Norway finished fourth at the last Paralympic Winter Games. Germany making its Paralympic debut in wheelchair curling. Norway with the pressure early, with the raise in the first end, and that puts their stone on the button. But Germany would try to take out the stone. Skip Jans Jager with the shot, but he would miss, and Norway steals the point. They take a 1-0 lead after one. Germany gets on the board in the second, already laying one. Jager with a chance for two, but he overshoots the house, so the game is tied. Germany with that shot, so they're laying one later. But Norway, with this shot to take out the German stone, Norway collects two. Much to the dismay of Germany, Norway now leading 3-1. Norway would add another point in the fourth end. Skip Rune Lawrenston with the draw into the house. Norway up 4-1. To the fifth, Germany laying two, and Norway with too much weight on the stone here. The rock goes through the house. That opens up the ice for Jager, and Germany puts the stone in the circle. 3 points to the Germans, and we are tied at 4. In the sixth, Germany now trying to knock out the Norwegian stones. Instead, they knock their own stone out of the house. And then Lawrenston will draw his stone into the house. 2 points for Norway, and they take a 6-4 lead. But Germany would win the game in the seventh end, already laying 5. Jager with the draw into the house. 6 points for Germany, and they take the win 10-6. So Germany wins its first round-robin game, while Norway takes the loss. Wheelchair curling at the Paralympic Curling Center. Round-robin tournament action. Italy taking on Japan. Both teams playing their first game of the tournament. In the first end, Italian skip Andrea Tabinelli with the shot. Tabinelli, participating in his second Paralympics, finds himself in a wheelchair after suffering injuries from a motorcycle accident. And he will lay his stone into the house. So Italy laying 3, and they would end up with 3 for the early lead. Watch this shot by Japan's Yoji Nakajima. Nakajima with the hammer. And he will tap out the red stone and take the point. A beautiful shot. Japan on the board, but trailing by 2, 3-1. In the third, Japan laying 3, but Italy with the hammer. But Tabinelli's shot will be off the mark. So Japan will steal 3 points, and the Japanese take the lead 4-3. Italy with the hammer again in the fourth, and lots of traffic for Tabinelli to work around. Japan is laying 1. But Tabinelli taps another Japanese stone closer to the center, so Japan steals 2 more, and Japan now leads 6-3. Tabinelli makes up for that shot with this one in the very next end. He works his way through traffic and places his stone inside the 4-foot circle for the point. Italy pulls within 2 points, Japan leading 6-4. Japan keeping the pressure on. Nakajima with the shot. And he will draw it into the house. 2 for Japan, and the lead is back up to 4. It's 8-4 Japan after 6. In the seventh, Italy with a chance to get back in the game. Already laying 2, and with the hammer, Tabinelli looking to put his stone anywhere in the house for a 3rd point. Instead, a little too much weight on the stone. It goes through the house, so instead of getting 3, Italy settles for 2, and it's an 8-6 game. Nakajima and Japan would wrap it up in the 8th and final end. Nakajima pushing his own stone closer to the tee line. A nice shot here by the Japanese skip. Japan gets the point and a 9-6 win. So Japan wins its first game of the Paralympics. Italy suffers its first loss. Wheelchair curling at the Paralympic Curling Center round-robin tournament. Sweden against Korea. Both lost their first game of the tournament, so both teams looking to pick up their first win. Great shot early on by Korean skip Haksung Kim. Sweden laying one, but Kim with the hammer. And he will take out the Swedish stone while his rock remains on the house. Korea goes up 2-0. Sweden gets on the board in the second end. Korea laying two, but Sweden with the hammer now. Skip Yali Youngnell with the perfect takeout coming up. Youngnell participating in his second Paralympics. And the nice takeout here, and the lead is cut in half. Korea leads 2-1. Sweden jumps on top in the third. Sweden laying two, but Korea with the hammer. But Kim cannot navigate his way through the traffic, and Sweden steals two to go up 3-2. In the fourth, Korea already laying one with a chance to get two. Kim with the draw into the house. He'll get around a bunch of guards. But he's not able to get it close enough for the second point, so Korea settles for 1 point, and the game is tied at 3. Watch this shot here by Sweden in the fifth end. Tied at 3, Youngnell trying to tap out the Korean stone. And he gets a little lucky. Instead, he taps his own stone out of play. But fortunately, his hammer stone deflects towards the center, so Sweden gets the point and takes a 4-3 lead. Korea laying two in the sixth and with the hammer, and a great chance here to pick up 3. Kim tries to draw his stone into the house, but not enough weight on the stone. He will come up short. So Korea only getting 2 and not 3, but Korea still takes a 5-4 lead. Korea would lead 6-4 entering the 8th and final end, and the Koreans would put the pressure on the Swedes. Korea drawing their stone into the house here. So now they are laying 3, and the Swedes are running out of stones. Later in the end, Youngnell needing to place his stone near the tee line for Sweden to have a chance to stay alive. He works his stone around the guards, but he puts too much weight on the stone. It goes through the house, so Korea holds on. They win the game 8-4. Korea is now even with 1 win and 1 loss. Sweden has lost its first 2 games of the tournament. Wheelchair curling at the Paralympic Curling Center. Second round games in the round-robin tournament. Norway taking on Great Britain. Both teams lost their first game earlier in the day. Great Britain will take the early lead as skip Michael McCready will have the shot here. McCready, who turns 64 during these Paralympics, captained Great Britain's basketball team to an 8th place finish at the 1980 Summer Paralympic Games. And here with the nice draw into the house, Great Britain would collect 2 points to take a 2-0 lead. The Brits would lead 3-0 before Norway got on the board. Skip Rune Lawrenston with a great shot here. Lawrenston's stone finds its way through traffic and into the house. A nice shot, 2 for Norway, and the lead is cut to 1 after 3 ends. We're tied at 3 when we go to the 5th end. Norway laying 2, but Great Britain with the hammer. British 4th Eileen Nielsen tries for the double takeout. She can't pull it off. Norway takes a 5-3 lead. To the 6th end. Norway laying one, but Nielsen with the hammer. Her shot will make it into the house and onto the 4-foot circle for the point. Norway's lead is cut to 1. It's 5-4. To the 7th we go. Norway with the hammer. Lawrenson tries to work his way through traffic in an effort to take out the British stone. And he will almost pull it off. Instead, he's just short. Great Britain steals the point, and we are tied at 5 going into the 8th and final end. Remember, in the Paralympics, each curling match goes only 8 ends, not 10 ends, as in the Olympics. So in the final end, Norway laying 2, so Great Britain needs to put its stone close to the tee line, but Nielsen comes up way short on her throw. The Brits don't have enough stones left to catch up, so they are mathematically eliminated. Norway wins 7-5. Norway now has 1 win and 1 loss in the round-robin tournament. Great Britain has lost its first 2 games of the tournament. Wheelchair curling at the Paralympic Curling Center. Second-round games in the round-robin tournament. A pair of medal contenders, defending gold medalist Canada, facing the United States. Both teams won their first games earlier in the day. U.S. leading 2-0, but not for long. Canadian skip Jim Armstrong with the takeout, and Canada collects 4 points to go up 4-2. The 59-year-old Armstrong has been curling since 1958 when he was 7 years old. Canada would add to the lead in the third end. Canada laying 2. American skip Augusto Perez, who led the U.S. to a bronze medal at the 2008 World Championships, tries for the takeout. He can't pull it off. Canada steals 2 and now leads 6-2. Armstrong, who's from Vancouver, returning to the same ice where he won the 2009 World Championship for Canada, would add to Canada's lead in the 6th. He started using a wheelchair only 3 years ago because of knee and back injuries. And here with the draw into the house. And Canada leads 10-3 after 6. The Americans trying to come back. Perez laying 2 with a great chance to pick up 3 for the Americans. But just a little too much weight on the stone. Perez and the U.S. have to settle for only 2. It's 10-5, and that's the way it would end. So Canada improves to 2 wins and no losses with the 10-5 win. The U.S. is even with 1 win and 1 loss.